The alien fleet loomed in the cold void of space, a monstrous display of power and precision. Hundreds of ships, each one a towering testament to the Empire's technological might, glided effortlessly through the stars. Their hulls gleamed with polished perfection, adorned with jagged edges and pulsing energy conduits. Alien warships of unimaginable size, bristling with weaponry capable of obliterating entire planets, drifted in perfect formation. At the helm of the fleet stood the Krelion Empire's supreme commander, Draxon, whose eyes burned with disdain as he scanned the horizon. This was their sector now, and nothing, not a single ship, not a single species, could challenge the Krelion's supremacy. Ahead of them, a tiny blip appeared on their long-range scanners. For a brief moment, the fleet's officers ignored it. It was likely a scouting vessel, a leftover from some defunct civilization. They had seen such minor signals before, insignificant specks that were quickly brushed aside. But this signal remained persistent. As they approached, it became clear. A small fleet of warships, barely visible in the vastness of space, seemed to be advancing toward them. At first, the Krelion officers laughed. Who could possibly think that such a tiny, ill-equipped fleet would pose any kind of challenge to the mighty Krelion Empire? Draxon himself sneered as he observed the signal. The ships, although sleek, were clearly inferior, primitive at best. From the looks of it, they were no more than a handful of ships, small and inconsequential. Surely this was a joke. A small human fleet, likely a desperate few survivors from a lost world, trying to make a stand. The Krelion Empire had crushed entire civilizations in a single sweep. What could these insignificant specks in the distance possibly hope to achieve? The Krelion ships approached the human fleet, growing ever closer. They activated their long-range weapons, preparing to obliterate the small fleet in an instant. As the alien warships came within visual range, they saw the human ships in full detail. It was a small armada, maybe a dozen ships in total. Their designs were simple compared to the Krelion vessels, yet there was an undeniable precision to their movements, an odd unity among them. "We'll scatter them in minutes," Draxon scoffed, signaling to his fleet. "Launch all interceptors. We'll teach them a lesson in galactic humility." But just as the Krelion fleet prepared to engage, a chilling message crackled through their communication channels. A human voice, cold and confident, broke the silence of space. "This is humanity. We are not here to negotiate. We are not here to surrender. If you wish to leave this sector alive, we suggest you turn around now." The arrogance of the Krelion fleet faltered for a brief moment. The commander's ears perked up. Humanity? The humans were an insignificant species from a forgotten world. How could they have the audacity to issue such a message to the greatest empire in the galaxy? Draxon ordered his fleet to proceed, dismissing the warning as mere bravado. "No one tells the Krelion to run," he muttered under his breath. The human fleet, meanwhile, powered up its engines. At first, it appeared as though the human ships were simply preparing for battle. But then something strange began to happen. The small fleet, previously outclassed in both size and firepower, began to show signs of unexpected sophistication. Their shields activated with a dazzling flare, glowing a bright blue as they absorbed the energy from Krelion weapon tests. But what truly caught the Krelion by surprise was the precision with which the human ships moved. They were small, yes, but their tactics were flawless. The ships weaved between asteroids and debris with agility that should have been impossible for such vessels, using the environment around them to their advantage. Suddenly, a barrage of missiles fired from the human ships, locking onto the Krelion fleet's larger vessels with a precision that defied belief. The first Krelion warship was struck dead on, its energy shields buckling under the force of the human weapons. In seconds, it was rendered useless, drifting motionless as the smaller human ships continued their relentless assault. The Krelion commanders scrambled to respond, but their ships, massive and slow, were no match for the human fleet's maneuverability. A barrage of kinetic projectiles followed, striking with deadly accuracy at the Krelion's weak points: engines, weapons, and communication systems. The Krelion were fast discovering that their empire's size and strength meant nothing when they were caught off guard by an enemy that played by an entirely different set of rules. As the battle raged on, the Krelion began to panic. They had underestimated humanity to their peril. The humans, though outnumbered and outgunned, fought with a precision and strategy that rendered the Krelion's brute force ineffective. The Krelion's overwhelming numbers were no match for the human fleet's intelligence and innovation. A single human ship darted toward the Krelion flagship, dodging the barrage of fire from multiple enemy vessels. As it neared, a single missile launched from the human ship, striking the flagship's vulnerable power core. The explosion was cataclysmic, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Draxon, now realizing the true threat humanity posed, ordered a full retreat. But it was too late. His fleet was already in disarray, many of their ships disabled or destroyed. One by one, the remaining Krelion vessels disengaged and fled, not wanting to face the wrath of humanity any longer. The Krelion, once the most feared empire in the galaxy, had been humbled. They had mocked the human fleet, underestimated their capabilities, and now they were running for their lives. The small fleet of human ships had turned the tide of battle, demonstrating that size and power meant nothing against strategy and resolve. As the Krelion fleet disappeared into the distance, the human ships hovered in the silence of space, their crews breathing a collective sigh of relief. It had been a battle for survival, but in the end, humanity had proven something undeniable. Their strength didn't come from the size of their fleet or the power of their weapons. It came from their ability to adapt, innovate, and strike when least expected. The galaxy, once again, would have to reckon with humanity's unexpected dominance.